Live in your truth. Make every moment count. Don't let no one dictate who you are or tell you who you are. You're special. Like I say, God crowns us differently. That doesn't make you any less. It doesn't make you any better, but it makes you unique. It makes you who you are. Um, and you should carry that. Carry it proudly, be who you are, and don't worry about the outside noise because at the end of the day, life goes on, everybody lives their life, and then you're stuck where? If you're worrying about what this one will say and this one will think, and that's including family, friends, even children, no, you can't. You have to worry about you. What's your assignment? What do you want in life? How do you want to walk? And how do you want to be remembered? Go for it.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the last and final episode 20. It's been a long journey. We have been on for almost a year now. It'll be a year next month. I will not be attending with us today. He's on another venture, a joint venture, and wishing him well and wishing him a safe return. So today I'm by myself, all by my lonesome. I know Bob has done a couple of these things by himself, and I applaud him for it. And since I didn't get back with him before this podcast, I decided to move forward. And what better way to end it off with, mindset and, energy work. And, there's a lot to be said about energy work that a lot of people don't know about. And the biggest thing is we take a lot of stuff for granted as far as letting people steal our energy. I have been I want to say on a road myself. I don't want to say recovery, but I did stumble a little bit, and I had to bring myself back, along with mindset, along with trying to get my energy back for me. You can only thin yourself out so much, and what better way is to bring on a guest where she's going to talk a little bit about energy. She's going to talk a little bit about mindset, and she's going to talk about what's going on in the world today. And you should never dim your light for anyone. And with that being said, let me bring it out our special guest, Vanessa Lopez, the goddess Lopez. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Well,
Great. Happy to be here.
it's a pleasure to have you. Pleasure to have you. Now, I've been on that road where we talked about mindset, and I've been through the whole thing where I had to change my mindset and do a little bit this and that and some work, some energy. But before we get into that, tell me a little bit more about yourself.
So my name is Vanessa. I go by Miss V the Goddess. I am 40 years old, soon to be 41 in October 19. Have three amazing children, two boys and a girl. And I'm just, a woman who likes to bring light to the world, light and love to the world as much as I can.
I know that's right, and you don't see too much of that these days. People are all out for themselves, and they can care less about the other people. And I think that's the biggest problem we have in the world today is not a lot of people care. Not a lot of people, want to help. There is a way where you can say, okay, me first, because if you can't help yourself first, you can't help other people. But they taking it to the astronomical value where they say, okay, it's me before anybody else, and that's the way it's going to be, and I'm not helping nobody, and they can blah 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 and this and that. I know you've seen it all. Mm. Tell me a little bit more about where your mindset is today in these times because it's a lot going on.
Okay, so going back to what you were saying, I call it more of people just turning the eye.
Yeah,
From my experience and what I've been witnessing now here in 2025 is more of people worrying about power and money. So a
hmm,
lot of souls are just being lost due to that mindset, right? As
right.
far as my mindset, where it's at today, is in a very great space. It took a lot of work to be here because I wasn't always in a great space. I was a person who actually dimmed her light a lot and didn't speak her truth. So
Hmm,
I tolerated humiliation, lies,
hmm,
Also, falling short, something that you made a statement of. I can relate to that.
Hmm.
Falling short, we're talking about addiction. Again, due to dimming your light and trying to help others elevate. Meanwhile, you're holding back and just, drowning pretty much. So I
Right.
went through that stage as well. Today, Miss Vida Goddess is definitely with boundaries, and speaking her truth and living in her truth and not allowing anyone to dim her light anymore.
Now, that's that's one of the biggest things. There has to come a point in your life where you just say, or you can't really say, but something has to happen where you have to go through these changes. What were a couple of changes that you had made and said, okay, this is not the right road I want to go on, or these things keep happening and I have to make this shift? Can you go into something like that where, because there's a lot of people along the same lines that, they go through things, they don't know why it's happening. They go through things, they don't know what they can do. They go through things and say, okay, well, I'm waiting for, if this person can do this, then I can do this. What was that calling for you, or a point in time where you just said, you know what, I have to do something?
So I will start off by saying this. As a kid, I've always felt like an outcast because I was very well gifted. So I didn't
Hmm.
speak much about this on only a few selective friends know and are aware of this. And the reason why I say outcast is because as a child, I didn't understand what I was enduring. I used to see things vividly.
Hmm.
I was able to see spirits vividly. My intuitions was always on alert. I always knew when something bad was about to happen. My dreams would be vivid. And most of the time, I will ignore it because I thought that I was just different, right? As I started getting older and going through things, it was like, okay, wait, no, this is happening. The way my intuitions and my spirit guides are telling me is actually happening. So I didn't fit in a lot of crowds. I was always like labeled a problem child, right? Because injustice was
Hmm.
something that used to trigger me. And because I didn't know how to speak on it, because I didn't want to be labeled as crazy, because most people would, um, I would basically cope with it on my own. And at that age, you don't know how to cope with it. So what happens is that you get aggressive, right? Versus speaking on it. So that's something that I went through. Now, fast forward to me starting to have kids. I already knew, like I knew every pregnancy, I knew what I was having. I knew how many kids I was having. I just knew. And that made me more aware. But still, I would still ignore some things because I wanted to be normal, right? As we would
Right,
call it.
right, right.
So, yes, you know, attracted myself to the wrong people, knowingly that it wasn't good for me. I still will align myself to that. So now talking about that, I got into a relationship at a young age. I was 15, dating a man who was 9 years older than me.
Okay.
Um, Of course, I left my mom's house at a young age due to my rebellious ways and not being understood. So I claimed on to this man and his family, right? Now, God did, and my spirit guides removed me from the equation for a
Hmm.
period of time. Me dimming my light and ignoring my intuitions brought me back. So we're talking about 10 years of separation, being in tune with myself again, doing things right, and then still ignoring the calling, and 10 years later going back to it, backtracking, right?
Hmm.
Which I always knew that there was an assignment for me. I just didn't know what it was. Now, in that process of trying to figure out what was my assignment, because I still wasn't doing the shadow work, as we would call it,
Right.
I fell into addiction, suppressing. So I suppressed. Pills was something that I did fall into. Then I got myself out of it alone. And still, even with that process, I still saw the good in this individual. So I kept going back because, I've always had this habit of trying to help others, right? and trying to motivate them and let them see what I see in them, right? So, and that takes a toll on you. It does. That's, we call it energy vampires. It will suck your energy dry if you don't have boundaries and limit. And for a long time, that was my case. So I did go back. Going back, this time I was already a mature woman with kids. I knew that there was something, there was a reason. I just didn't know the depth of it. I couldn't pinpoint it.
Okay.
So that process, when I say I lost myself, I lost myself.
Let me slow you down just a little bit because there's a
Mhm.
lot of that story that resonates with me. I mean, of course, I'm not a woman or anything. Men go through the same thing, and the difference is, a lot of men don't know how to channel that energy or don't know how to get out of that kind of darkness. We spiral out of control immediately. One day we can say, I'll make this an example. Was in school, and once I graduated, like maybe 20, 30 years ago, when it was in high school for me, I see the same people when I go back, and I'm like, "What happened to you?" Or "What happened to you?" And when they try to tell me their story about, I fell into this sort of thing or that sort of thing, and I'm like, I was one of those people that, "Oh, this had never happened to me," and, you know, I'm well off and, whatever happens can happen, but not me, you know?
Right.
And then when it struck me, now when I go home, I have the same people, "Well, what happened to you?" And I'm like, things happen quickly, you know?
Mhm.
And, when I say quickly, timing is of no essence because, it was a culmination of years before it happened, and a lot of people are like, yeah, well, you look good today, but tomorrow, I don't know what's going on with you. What's happening with you, buddy? And I couldn't put my fingers on it. Just to let you know, just to go back to those energy vampires. Oh my God. I didn't know there was such a thing.
It's real.
I didn't know that, you have to protect your energy at all costs, especially in these days and times, because people could care less about, what you can do, but what can you do for them? I'm like, you look, it's everybody that I come in contact, gimme, 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 gimme. And I didn't have any. And once you know, and
That's right.
they don't really have to be close enough. They can be online and steal your energy. And
Mhm.
I never knew it worked like that. So can you put some emphasis on that? How people can just steal your energy just like that? Because I want to put in the work, but I don't know how. But I am aware that there's people out there trying to, harvest your energy. Can you talk a little bit more of that?
Yes, it's definitely a thing. Definitely a thing. And when I say energy vampires, they don't come vocal, meaning it's not like you're gonna know off, right away. Okay, this one is just here for my energy, or because my light and what I can provide, and also since I manifest very well and I attract these things, I attract
Hmm.
greatness. This person doesn't have the ability because they haven't done the work. Not that they don't have the ability, they choose not to do the work, or they are not aware, or they still holding on to old traumas. Because that's a big thing too. Holding on to traumas and not healing and not putting in the work can affect you
Right.
mentally, emotionally. So it's not that there's energy vampires where they're intentionally trying to suck you dry. There's some that come in and they don't know nothing else. This is what they're used to. They haven't done the inner work. So therefore, just by you having them in your presence and you're up here elevating yourself mentally and physically,
Mhm.
spiritually, and this person is not, then guess what you're doing? You're allowing them to suck your energy dry. And that's something that, as us as individuals, we have to keep in mind. From my experiences, I know that I had to actually sit down, reflect, heal from my own traumas that I was
Yes.
holding on to, meaning the ugly cries. And I say this for men and women because it's very important. I have two boys that I raised, and I tell them all the time, crying is a way of releasing. That doesn't make you weak. That is a form of strength, actually. So, yes, letting it go, crying and release it and don't look back to it. This is what it is. And if that doesn't work for you, journal, write things down, you know?
And I'm glad you spoke on journaling because that's one of the ways I got out of my acute depression that I had, and I wrote my way out of it. Not knowing what I was doing, I looked into some holistic ways, as they would say, because it's not a form of medicine that can be prescribed. But somebody mentioned this to me, and I started, and I couldn't stop. So 3 journals in right now, I'm pretty much, working my way out of a lot of things. I manifested a lot of things, and when I try to explain, I can't explain because, like you said in the early going of this conversation, people will look at you like you're crazy, you know?
Yes.
And because people don't understand the actions that you have to take or some things that you align with. And if it's not aligned with them, then they have a problem with it. And
Right.
I've seen this so often, and I gotten to the point where I can't explain it. I can feel it. I can't explain it. But you are on a different level because if you've been through that, then of course we can have a conversation like no other. And a third party will come in like, what are y'all talking about? This
Right.
is crazy. This is nonsense. This is just not nonsense. This is real life.
That's right.
Because if you go with let's go with a couple of scenarios of what's happening today. I
Mm.
mean, current events is just wow right now. And I'm actually more scared than I was before of leaving the house because I don't know what's going to happen, you know? I feel stuff that's going to happen, but I shouldn't be a shell of my former self, but now I'm more cautious than anything. Let's talk about what's going on in current events right now because there's a lot going on that a lot of people can't decipher. They can see it, but they don't know what's
Right.
going on. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's have a chat.
Yes. So I feel when it comes down to that, I feel like we are all here with different assignments, right? So, of course, there's some people, those that will label you crazy is because they have not yet done the work and reached that assignment or figured out what is their assignment, right? So it's easy for you to say, she's crazy or he's crazy or, they're talking nonsense. And it's okay. It's okay because guess what? They will get there. They will get there. We all have a different path, a different journey, and different assignments in this lifetime. And I realized that myself had to, sit down and say, you know what, Vanessa, it's okay. Before, I probably would have fought and argued my way out of things, and now it's like it is okay. Even God was humiliated. Even he was talked bad about. Even when he was crucified. When he was crucified, hello, it was it was due to ego, ignorance,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So that's what it is. That's what we're living today in 2025. Going back to what you're saying, as far as walking out of the house, and you can feel something is, about to happen, right? You don't know what, so you're like more
Hmm.
cautious. I'm like, oh, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I go through the same thing, but let me tell you this. Walk by faith and not by fear. Because when you have those intuitions and and you feel, hey, something is going to happen, that's actually your spirit guides and your angels talking to you. Yes, be cautious, meaning
Hmm.
have your antennas open, you know, observe your surroundings. If this is telling you, walk this direction, don't question it. Walk that direction. If it's
Right.
telling you, wait
Right.
5 minutes, hey, wait 5 minutes. You know, that is awareness. You are awoke. So therefore, you're going to feel things in a different manner than what you would have back then because you're actually doing the work. Journaling is awesome. Manifestation. That is a way, it's like speaking things into existence. I myself write a lot too. So I love that for you. That is
Hmm.
actually the best way to, if you don't know how to vent and talk, that is the best way for you to release things, go back to it, reflect on it, and get more in tune. And you're also going to realize that, wow, I just wrote this like 3 months ago and it's actually happening now. I
Hmm.
manifested this.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the real thing. And I say because again, with my situation now, which is still current, I am going through a big, big, big spiritual battle. And we're not talking about, this is just about feelings and about, no, this is literally with that you witness with your two eyes. Okay. Dreaming about it, and I got intuitions on it, and it affected my health big time. I was literally 178 pounds 8 months ago. And within 3 weeks, I had went down to 119 pounds.
Wow.
We're talking about, yes, we're talking about going to different doctors and trying to figure out what's and nothing. One doctor tell you is this, then next thing you know, 2 days later, that's not even the case, right?
Right.
And
Right.
at that moment, even seeing death, like I literally died in my home. Okay. At that moment, I had to hold on. This is something else. This is
Mhm.
very spiritual. This is not normal. I then went to different doctors. I done seen and even spoke to different therapists, and nothing. No, 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 no. So now I have to isolate. Let me remove myself from the world. Let me ignore the outside noise. Let me do the inner work. What is going on within Vanessa? What is Vanessa accepting? What is Vanessa tolerating? What is affecting Vanessa? Sitting back and just blocking every noise there is, TV, everything, everything. And literally just in my own thoughts and my own reflection and prayer. And I did that for a good 7 months straight. I'm still
Mhm.
in isolation mode. I'm still not all the way out there. I'm getting there, but not all
Well,
the way fully like I was
that's
before.
that's the whole point. You have to do that inner work.
Most definitely. And it's very worth it. Now it's scary. I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat anything. It is scary. It is hard because it's gonna come with a lot of tears. It's gonna come with a lot of pain. It's
Yeah.
gonna come with a lot of truth. And
Yeah.
sometimes the truth hurts. But it is how when that truth hits you and you see it,
Mhm.
how are you going to take it this time when you're
Exactly.
actually healed, right? So in my case, that's what it was. I did the work, and truth, my God, and my angels just kept smacking me and smacking me and smacking me. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, to the point where I surprised myself. You're not even, there's no tears. You're not shook. I'm more in, wow,
Yeah.
this is real. I wasn't
Yeah.
crazy. You know, I wasn't crazy all this time. Wow. Okay. I get it. So
Yeah.
now I have to go full force and do more work. Right.
Yeah.
And so, yes, that truth has led out to, let me go by saying this. This is not things that you only see on TV. Celebrities are not the only ones enduring this. It has actually happened here in the physical realm, not just in the spiritual realm. It is literally truth, is reality, and a lot of people are battling it and not speaking on it.
Mhm.
And I say this because it is my story. So this is why I'm speaking on it now. For those that are going through this, speak up. That is your
Mhm.
job. You're supposed to speak up. We're not supposed to hold in things. We're not supposed to keep it a secret because it's called being a light worker, right?
Right.
In this world right now that we're living in, is a lot of demonic spirits. A lot of people that actually just rather sell their souls just for a little power and gain, right?
Right.
We have different religions. And again, I am not the type to sit here and say it's due to religion or anything like that because we all have a choice. And in every religion there's the good and then there's the bad. That's just like even Christians, Catholic, whatever church you decide to go to, just know that because they're praising God doesn't mean that they're innocent and saints and they don't break a plate. That is not reality. No matter what church you go to, you're gonna find someone there that is not doing the right thing, that are doing it for the wrong reasons. That's with every and any religion there is, if we're going to go about religion. So again, to me, it's about personality. It's about what you really want in this world, right? What are your desires? Where are you at with it? In my case, I don't appreciate nor do I respect injustice. I am all about
Anywhere.
light and love.
Yeah.
light and love. So I'd rather be broke. I'd rather be homeless. But as long as I have peace, light, and love in my life, that is all that matters to me. And I can say that if I go today and God decides that today is my day, I will go with a peaceful soul and I will be up there. In many cases, that's not the, that's not the case. You have people that
Right.
decide that they're gonna, worship the other side of the world, as I call it, for
Mm-hmm.
their own gain and purpose. And when you start to go into that route, there's no turning back at that point, depending on how deep you went into it, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
in this case, going back to my old mistakes now, where I got into a relationship that I knew wasn't good for me, right? This individual just didn't know and hasn't coped with their traumas and actually walks with fear
Mm-hmm.
versus faith, you know? And although as much as I try to teach, hey, prayer, faith, and he saw what I was capable of just because of my mindset. Some people just don't get it the same way that you would. Everybody has an assignment. Our growth is different, But unfortunately, with that being said, when you stay stuck in that mindset, what you do is you welcome in those demonic spirits because at this point they have an attachment to you that you have not yet released
Right.
and it's real. So, unfortunately, I was one that was involved and surrounded by people who worship the other side
Right.
and who will do anything for gain and power. My light irritates. I was always able to pick up on these things, always able to see and know, oh, I'm being affected. And it's this and that person. And as much as I cared for that individual and didn't want to believe it, it was like, no, to the point where I almost lost my child, to the point where
Mm-hmm.
this individual spent a lot of years with knew and said, yes, you're right. And this and that, is this person, is, family members that are, close within and same
Right.
community. Yes, you're right. But still didn't know how to release. Will release for a little bit and go right back.
But can I get in there just for a second because
Hmm.
there's a lot of that going on today, and I call them handlers. It's somebody that's just there to, just enough to open you up and let everything else in. And I'm fully aware of that now. That's why I I don't kinder or pander to people like I used to, and it's all because now I've built up that tolerance. I have that feeling inside. Okay, I know if somebody's right for me or have rightful intentions for me when just being around them. And when I felt it before, I just paid it no never mind. I didn't really think about it. And today, like you said, awareness is key because I didn't have no awareness. I was just, I want to say naive to the fact that this person would even do something like that to me that I was unwarranted of. And now these days, you couldn't get me in a room full of people because everybody doesn't have your true interests at heart. And there are some that say, okay, they'll get in close to you, but their intentions are just as fake as everything else. But you will never know it because they come to you in such a good form and it's such a form that you say, okay, well, he's accepting, she's accepting, and you let them in, you bring them into your circle, and then they infiltrate from your circle out. And that's one of the biggest main shifts that I had to come across because if I didn't have these feelings, if I didn't have this awareness of my feelings, then who knows where I would have been.
Hmm.
And when you telling your story like this, it's going to hit a lot of people because a lot of people are now starting to wake up and you're starting to see it on social media every now and then. Don't let people steal your energy. And when I first heard it, I was like, hogwash. No, nobody's going to steal my energy. It's my energy. And then come to realize, you probably sleeping with the energy stealer to start with. And
Hmm.
I never looked so deeply into it until it started affecting me. Like I said, I was one of those people. Oh, it's never happened to me. It'll never happen to me. This is not going to happen. And then come to find out, whether it's 2 months, 2 years, or 20 years down the road, somebody has been working on you. Might even be that long. And it's scary to say that, you see on social media all the time. You don't have to worry about a lot of people, but there's somebody that's close to you that's draining you. There's somebody that's close to you that's working on you. There's somebody that's close to you that doesn't have your best intention at heart. And once I figured it out, I can't say I figured out everything, but I've been on a spiritual train myself, and I keep every now and then hey, open up here, show me what I'm supposed to see, because I try to give everybody a benefit of a doubt, but you can't even do that anymore.
Nope.
So applause to you for going through that, and you're in a better space now. But how are you with, I want to say, helping others get out of that? Because there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people I want to help, but I just don't know how. Because when I approach people and I talk about subjects like this, they look at me like, "Hey, man, not today." And I'm like, "I can only help, but when you're ready for the help, then of course you'll seek it."
Right.
But what are you doing to help other people right now?
So it's a battle. I won't lie. It is a battle. At this point in my life, I do speak in my truth, share my stories, and when I do have to relay a message, I don't question it. If my angels and my God is telling me you have to, then that's what it is. I've literally approached some people that I don't even know. And I'm just like, really? Why? But hey, this is what you want, let's go. Just it's knowing now that, hey, I have to do this because I'm being told to do this. I relay the message, you take it as you want to take it, but that's it. You know, they have to be willing to do the work themselves. They have to accept that for themselves. If they don't, we can't continue. And it's like I go back to what you're saying. I've always been the type to give people the benefit of the doubt and want to help everybody, want to just shelter everyone, even when I'm broken myself.
Hmm.
But I had to learn today with everything that I've endured, you can't. You can't. The only thing you can do is relay the message. You can give them an advice. You can share your truth and your story, give them some tips on what to do, but it's up to them to take it. From there, at least you did the work. Now you can go home and pray for them
Right.
as many
Right.
times as you want. That you can do. That is my form of helping. But I won't bend myself anymore. Now, if they reach out to me for help, that's a different ballgame because now you're accepting me into your energy, but I
Right.
still will have boundaries. There
Right.
still will be some limits. I will not ignore, you know, because I used to ignore so much, and it's why I'm in the situation that I am living today. And when I say the situation I'm living today, it's even deeper than what I've just shared. Again, that little situation for me ignoring my calling,
Uh-huh.
ignoring my intuitions, I stood there for so long and so many years until it broke me that I lost everything. But it was because I had to literally do the ugly cry and say, God, my spirit guys, take it all. Because at this point, I feel like I am surrounded by the enemy. Remove me. And if you have this assignment for me and you chose me to walk this path to bring light to something, then use me. And be careful what you pray for. Be
Exactly.
careful what you pray for. Be specific in your prayer because trust and
Exactly.
believe he will deliver. And if you're not ready, it will take a toll on you, meaning it can take even your life. So I had to, once he did that, that prayer shifted within 2 weeks. It was like, I was in Florida. I'm in
Hmm.
Philadelphia now.
Hmm.
And a woman who was working 2 jobs, sometimes three, because on my day off, I would go hustle too on a third job.
Hmm.
A woman who had her beautiful home, beautiful car. Within 2 weeks, I started to endure anxiety and panic
Right.
attacks to the point where
Right.
it left me like this. Okay. And lost it all. Now, I woke up one day to a mental institution. What am I doing here?
Oh,
And at that
pretty
point, I
extreme.
didn't get upset. I didn't get upset, which was the strange part. I just kind of sat back and said, I remember my prayer. We're talking about my bosses, best friends calling, excuse me, calling every second that in the mental institution that I was in for a whole week, guys, keep that in mind. The phone was both, it was two lines. Them two lines was constantly being blown up. And it was always Vanessa, Vanessa Lopez, Vanessa Lopez. Because my people that I worked for many, many decades that knew who I am and knew the strength that I had could not understand what I was doing in a mental institution and what was happening with me. And I had to literally say to myself and just really like at that point, I said, okay, wait, I remember what I prayed for. I get it. There's a bigger assignment here. Yes. So now it's time to release. But before I release, I'm just going to let you guide me. At that point, completely lost it all. So we're talking about the same individual now and, you know, family members that's attached to this person and community, right?
Right.
Now telling me I have to come back over here to Philadelphia. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to, but I said, God, I know you have a big assignment for me because I just felt it. And I already knew that I was going to be releasing. But I said, there's something that you're trying to show me. And because I've heard it and ignored it before, now I have to physically see it because I was
Right.
stubborn. So fast forward, that's what happened. I'm back here. I get out. I start doing the work. I start, every day listening to positive affirmations and just
Mm-hmm.
manifesting and just praying constantly, walking all the time, water, and these doctors constantly was trying to put you on different medications,
Yeah, I
medications that were
don't.
affecting me even more. And
Yeah.
at that point, I just said, no, wait, this is not right. This is not right. So in that same home where I had to stay temporarily with this man, I discover voodoo dolls being hidden in my underwears. This man also seen it with his own two eyes. But the reaction was not the reaction that a normal person who has love and light in them would have reacted. The reaction was more of well, I'm not going to question it because they're going to lie anyway. So at that point, I knew what I was dealing with. And I said, okay, don't get upset. Don't get upset. There's no point to argue with demons. At this point, you have to go full force now. Now you have to really get on them knees and it took a toll. It took a little toll. And at the point where I then moved into this home that I am now and not knowing this home also was found by family members of his. So I walked in and discovered other things that were like eye opener. And I'm like, okay, I could have ran easily, but I was so used to always running away from certain things that at this time it was God said, no, you have no choice.
Right. You got to stick it
You say
out.
you were up to the challenge. You were up to the challenge. You can
Yeah.
handle this, right? So I had to remember, you know, the scriptures and remember that even he walked through the fire and didn't get burned.
Right.
And I held on to that. Now, keep in mind, holding on to that which is very well worth it. Okay, there we go. It is very well worth holding on to that, but also keep in mind that it can affect your health. It can, but do not get discouraged. I was a person who it definitely affected my health tremendously. I did release, meaning that I said, I cannot do this anymore. You have to get out of my space. You, your family, your community, your friend, all that, no more. I just can't. But that came with World War III, but we're not talking about physically. We're talking about spiritually. And then it was me releasing, then it was me having to deal with the owners of the house,
Mm-hmm.
finding out that they all knew each other,
Mm-hmm.
finding out that they all are in this religion.
Mm-hmm.
And what they worship, they do not believe in God because it was directly told. And when I would listen to gospel music, that will bother them to the point where I was being told that I can't listen to gospel music in my
Mm-hmm.
own home. And at that point, of course, you're not gonna tell me what to do. I'm gonna
Right,
continue
right,
to blast and praise. Even I'll go
right.
right in the middle of the street and praise.
But I think that's one of the things that could break the trance. Some different types of
It
music
triggers.
and some different sounds,
It
and
triggers.
that's why they didn't want you to listen to it because they was like, okay, as long as I can keep you hypnotized or in this trance, then you belong to me. And
Yes.
and that's one of the biggest things. I'm not to cut you off, but that's one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't pay attention to. And they so quick to go about their day and do the day-to-day things that they've always been doing and wonder why they always get the same thing. And one of my biggest things was for me is I had to stop talking down on myself. I used to talk down on myself a lot. And whatever you put into existence is so. And
Hmm.
I had to, whether it's energy work or not, I did something and it was along the lines of positivity. And I needed that positivity in my life because everything was dark, everything was so negative, and I would just see things for what they are and not look on the other side or the bright side of things or what I can learn from this or that. And I took everything at face value and everything that I was seeing with this illusion, everything that I was seeing, I just believed it, you know, not looking into myself or not looking the spiritual aspects of it. I just took it for face value. And I can't tell you what I've done for 20 years of my life. Because if I know now what I knew then, or knew then what I knew now, I could have saved 20 years of my life.
Most definitely.
Here, I'm sitting at the big 50, and I'm like, I tell my kids this, and they laugh at me from time to time. I was like, I went to sleep and I woke up and I was 50. And they were like, they looking at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, enjoy your youth while you got it, but don't, you know, let that time pass. Be more positive about life. You have we all as kids have all said this once upon a time. There's no kid that I've ever met that never said this. I can't wait to grow up. Well, look, look, be careful what you ask for because you know what? The time just, I think when you hit a certain age, no matter what age it is, I can't really identify it. I can remember my 30s, but I can't really remember my 20s. So my 20s was just like, I wish I was older. My 20s
Hmm.
went like this.
Yeah.
In my
Mine's
30s, I was
still
like, oh yeah, I'm still good. Everything is in life is perfect. I turned 40. And then when I go back and tell my kids this same story, and I'm like, I went to sleep and I woke up 50, it's real. And I guess to each his own, they have to find their own way. But you try to teach
Mhm.
them, this was never taught to me, you know, the aspect of time. I've lost so much time to so many different elements that serve no purpose in my life.
I can
And
agree.
the biggest takeaway from me today is as far as these energy stealers, you can't steal my energy because, I can hear and not hear, I can see and not see. Whereas before I
Yes.
would just, I'll be scrolling on social media forever or well, it wasn't forever because it wasn't really a thing till I was like in my 30s.
Right.
You know, I'm keen on how I spend my time. I'm
Hmm.
keen on trying to slow time down a little bit, but I want to understand every aspect of my time because one thing's for sure, two things for certain. You can't get that time back. You can never get it back.
Definitely can.
What I want to leave people with today is just that, you know, spare your time or live the life you want to live the life you make for yourself and stop trying to be like everybody else. Everybody else is not like you. You're unique, you're one of a kind, and as God said, you only live once.
Only
So if there
difference.
was anything that you can leave somebody with today to shine that bright light on them and, never to dim their light, what would you tell them right now?
Live in your truth. Make every moment count. Don't let no one dictate who you are or tell you who you are. You're special. Like I say, God crowns us differently. That doesn't make you any less. It doesn't make you any better, but it makes you unique. It makes you who you are. Um, and you should carry that. Carry it proudly, be who you are, and don't worry about the outside noise because at the end of the day, life goes on, everybody lives their life, and then you're stuck where? If you're worrying about what this one will say and this one will think, and that's including family, friends, even children, no, you can't. You have to worry about you. What's your assignment? What do you want in life? How do you want to walk? And how do you want to be remembered? Go for it. Go for whatever it is that makes you happy and always put yourself first because if you're not first, you can't make no one else priority. You can love another individual if you do not love yourself first. Once you start to
Absolutely.
discover that, man, there's things that you might have tolerated in the past and things that might have caught your attention. You're going to notice that it's like, I don't even belong there. Like, I don't even want to be affiliated. You know, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing because, going back to the age thing, my kids always mess with me and they were like, Mom, you're getting old, you're old. And I'm just like, at this point in my life, I honestly feel like I am living in a whole different portal. I feel
That
like I
part.
am going back to
That
my
part.
14, 15, 16, I'm like,
That
yeah,
part.
you know what?
Exactly.
I'm getting old, but I feel like I am youth again.
Right.
All those years that I lost out and all those years that I'm like, it's coming back.
Yep.
Just a different age, just a different time zone. But I am
Exactly.
back to my youth. I am correcting. So I tell them all the time, you know what? Old to you, but it's young to me. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I am gonna be 41. I'm gonna be 14 in the new portal. So
You
I
know
kind
what?
of
I just started telling my kids I'm living my best life right now. I just started living, and what was it? Just
Mhm.
last month, I went to Spain because I was talking to somebody. It was like, you just got to do something for you. Took off and went, you
There
know,
you go.
and I spent 14 days over there. It was the best time I had to reflect, relax, reflect, and relate, over
Mm.
the with those 14 days. And I sat by the water every day, every day. And the scenery, I wasn't really too cut out with the scenery because the scenery was something out of a book, but I put myself there, I took the reins and said, you know what, I got to do something for me for once, you know. And when I went, it's like I came back, I was rejuvenated, and I felt more alive than I have been in the last 20, 25 years. And it's crazy for me to say that because, even if I say 20, 25 years, I'm still 25, you know,
Hmm.
but
There you go.
when I, and now it's like the time that I spent, I shaved off half of that and, try to piece back together, so I'm feeling like I want to say about 30 again, you know.
There you
I'm
go.
not going to say I look 30. I look 50 with all the gray, but a
You
little
don't look
dye
fit.
help, but yeah, well, thank you. It's the light. It's the light. It's the love and the light.
Hey, we love the light. What the light can do.
But it's you are what you say you are, and that really didn't strike a chord with me until lately. And I started to look back and seeing all the stuff I did to myself, or seeing all the stuff I said about myself, and if I could take it back, I would. But it put me on a path to let me, okay, you are what you say you are. Let's go find out. And I found out what I was about. And then if you don't like something, you have to change it. If you can't change it, then it is what it is. So put your foot
Yes,
down,
most
keep your
definitely.
head up, and hope, not hope for the best. Speak yourself to the best. Okay. And that's what
Absolutely.
I'm all about today. So that's what I'm gonna leave
Same
the
here.
crowd with today. So I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story, sharing your love, sharing your light, not dimming your light. And it's gonna help a lot of other people because there's a lot of other people in our shoes, but don't know how to get out, or don't know how to talk about it, or don't know how to even approach it. And it's a big thing, and it's not just with, like you said, celebrities. It's among the community. It's among us. But not too many people, look into it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't want to say it's sad because I've been there before too, but if there's something that I can do to help anybody, if there's something that you can do to help anybody, I'm sure we can and we will. But I appreciate you for coming on and sharing your love and your wisdom and your light. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you for having me. I do want to kind of share something before we do go, if
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
mind.
please do. Please do.
So, for those that are enduring mental illnesses or being diagnosed with any mental, please, 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 before you decide to endure in medications, try to go the natural route. Try to we have these phones and we have this technology, right? If you guys can use it to type up, this YouTube page or whatever, use it to find informations in a natural way that will not affect your brain, that will not affect your body, because these medications will definitely affect you more than what you even can imagine. Do the inner work. Sit down and speak to somebody. If you guys don't feel comfortable speaking with a stranger, or just find something, or get on the knees. Get on your knees and just pray and believe. Don't let your prayers go in vain. Believe. Another thing is, to my light workers out there, yes, keep that Bible open. And let it out. Just let it out and reflect or write. you know Writing is a form of releasing.
Yes.
You will be surprised. You will be surprised what it can do for you. And it also opens your mind up to other things. Reading, writing, it opens up your mind to other things. So you're sitting there writing this out and trying to release some things that is bothering you. Next thing you know, you have ideas coming to you. That is the goal. So write, read, or speak to someone. And hey, by any means, you guys can reach out to me if y'all feel comfortable. I am here. I will speak. I will listen. I am a great listener, and I will give you tips if you allow me to. Um, but please do the work. Do the work, because society today wants us to be bind to these things
Yeah.
that really, really you do not need. You do not need it. I don't care the spirit. It could be 50,000 spiritual attacks. If you have faith, and if you believe, and if you do the work, no harm should ever prosper against you. It can be formed,
Exactly.
but it will not prosper. And be honest with yourself, be honest with the world. Don't be afraid about what anybody says. And to those light workers, I'm going to end it here because this is a little message for my tarot readers. Please, 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 please. When you're reading, everybody is, first and foremost, not everybody is meant to be reading other people. You can affect yourself tremendously because you don't know who you're reading. Be careful when you're crossing path with chosen ones or other light workers, because let me tell you something, that is something that can affect you, and it will turn back to you in a way that you didn't even
Yeah.
expect. Now, if you are gifted to do this, please make sure that you're also taking the time to listen to your energy and taking the time. I don't care the amount of money. I don't care what it is. It could be the money if you're doing it for money. It can be if you're doing it to help others. I do not care. If your body says, I need to recharge, take a break and recharge, because your energy is something precious and it can be
Right.
affected easily, especially when you have
Right.
tons of thousands of people watching you. Protect your energy, protect your mind, protect your spirit, and know when to shut down and take time for yourself to recharge. It's very important. Very, very important. Especially now, like I said, with everything that's going on in this world, it is very spiritual, and the enemy wants to knock us down. The light workers, the ones that are actually doing the work, that actually are already aware. We have an
Hmm.
assignment to do. Do not get lost in this world. Stick to your assignment. Be in tune with yourself. Make sure you're recharging, and do not ignore that calling whatsoever. Whatsoever, because the enemy is coming full force. And if you're not prepared, he's going to attack. And we cannot allow to give the enemy the upper hand. He's done enough damage. So 2025 is all about revelation. If you guys need some insights of anything, feel free to reach me. I have no problem with helping someone else. And, thank you for having me here. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you so much for having me. And y'all
I
keep that in
appreciate
mind
for
too.
having you. Yes, yes, we sure will. And I appreciate for having you on, and I'll make sure I link all the socials to where they can find you because you have a gift and it needs to be shared. So with that being said, this is Caps and Combos. This is Lamont welcoming Vanessa. It's a pleasure having you, and we're gonna
Thank
make
you for
sure we
having me.
link up in the next season because we got season 4 coming up where we're gonna have all prior guests. So we're gonna make sure we have you back on the show for sure. Thank you.
Most definitely. Thank you. You have a blessed one and enjoy Germany.
I am as far as this weather's gonna take us, but I'll try. So
Blessings to you and the family.
thank you, thank you.